Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. Continuing to drop 2025 rookie scouting profile shows for you guys here on the channel. Today, we're going to take a look at Jaylin Noel, exciting Iowa State wide receiver, headed to the NFL draft. He was a riser at the scouting combine last weekend, and we're going to break it all down. Jason DiRienzo, my podcast co-host, we're going to go over his 2024 production. We're going to talk about his PFF grades, how they stack up against the class, where the strengths and weaknesses, the traits that we see on the film. Talk about his scouting report card grades, give you some comps, think what his dynasty value will be in year one, depending on that all-important draft capital and landing spot. So hit that subscribe button. Trying to get to 17,000 subscribers by the NFL draft. Doesn't cost you a thing to do that. Let's get to the show. All right, let's talk about our second 2025 rookie scouting report card and grades tonight, Jason. And let's talk about Jaylin Noel, another guy that just crushed the combine. Wide receiver, senior, 4-year player at Iowa State, 5'10", 194 pounds. Let's go through his 24 production and his PFF stats. All right, and grades here. Receiving yards on the season. These are regular season stats that you're looking at on the screen. 1,012 yards, 6 TDs. Catch percentage, 65%. Yards per reception, 15.1. So, slot and wide versatility, we'd like to see that. So he's primarily a slot receiver, played 72% of his career in the slot, 28% out wide. The PFF receiving grades, the ranks that you see here in parentheses, if you're watching on YouTube, guys, these are the where he ranks among the top 30 wide receivers going to the NFL draft. So his PFF receiving grade, 80.6, ranked 15th. All right, contested catch, 45.5, ranked 18th. It's not really his game so much is the contested
I've seen some good stuff from that.
Yeah, we have though.
So yeah.
And we're going to talk about that here shortly.
Yes.
Yards after catch per reception, 4.5. Felt like he was a better yak guy than that. He came in 21st.
So yeah.
I think he came in 21st in the class. Yards per route run for all my analytical guys and listeners out there, 2.64, ranked 12th in the class. Do what you want with those numbers. The drop percentage, 5.6%, ranked 16th. So, I mean, overall, you look at this. If we didn't watch Jaylin Noel, you'd think he was just an average guy, but as you know, we watched this guy. I have a film breakdown on the YouTube channel too, guys. Go check that out, is where I break down. I forget what game it was against, but showcasing a lot. I think it was actually multiple games. We took a look at his film, but so tell the good people out there, give the overall scouting report that you see watching Jaylin Noel.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, from snap to finish, this kid is like, the word I wrote down was urgent. He seems urgent in everything that he does because he's just trying to throw off the defender. Within his stem release, the release is very quick. I love the acceleration. He doesn't, you can tell he's not thinking. Like, he already knows exactly what he's going to do once he releases off the line, whether he's going to manipulate with his eyes and body gestures to throw off a defender, or he's just going to fake and dip in or out. I just love the manipulation. I love how he eats into the cushion early, and he plays out of the slot, so that cushion is pretty wide. A lot of times it's within zone, but if he's on a corner, his speed, he varies and tempos that speed perfectly based on the defender he's facing, whether it's a linebacker or a safety or a corner. And it doesn't really matter. It looks all the same. So the first 5 yards is very, very similar and easy. And then he just throws everything off within his body mechanics and movements as he begins to run the route and separate. So I think there's some IQ here for sure. I love how he runs the routes. I think he's very, I keep using manipulative, but the speed. I think the speed is definitely something too, because he'll run really quick into a hitch, turn, and then when he catches the ball, and you had this in your video breakdown, the defender's coming in, he can quickly change direction and wrap around and gain additional yards. So his change of direction is instantaneous. And the athleticism that we saw at the combine is exactly kind of what you see on the film. And I think that deep threat ability, we saw him get sent downfield at Iowa State quite a bit. Yeah. And it was very easy for him. Like, he understands exactly how to navigate through zone. He's a seam splitter, not phased by contact either. And, in the contested catch portion of it, maybe not contested, but he's great when he has to contort his body back to the ball with good body control, good hands, catching outside of his frame, and coming down with the ball and maintaining that control. Probably not going to gain too many yards after a catch like that, but as a possession receiver in an instance, instance like that, he's very reliable. So I think this is a very quarterback-friendly guy. I
Yeah.
think he's a very good route runner. I think when it comes down to it, the NFL level, he'll be able to run the entire route tree with ease. And he is undersized, but I'll tell you what, through the Senior Bowl at the combine, like none of that seems to even matter whatsoever. And he was amazing at the Senior Bowl. He was one of the risers. Everybody was talking about him, and it's just one of those things where all he does is keep checking boxes. You do not want to ignore a player like that.
Yeah, I think that's a great breakdown, dude. I mean, I don't know how much more I can add to that, but
Whatever you
to
got,
the,
bring it, because
y-
I'm sure I had to miss something.
yeah, no, I think a couple of things. Even when I made that film, I'd said he's going to be a quarterback's best friend, right? He's going to be one
Yes,
of these
yes,
guys
yep,
that is going to be dependable. He's going to make himself available. He's smart. He knows how to take advantages of defenses. The manipulative is a great word because you need that in your, as a route runner, you have to
yes,
have that to
you
be able
have
to
to.
be successful. But he's a space creator, right? Quick
Yes, he
feet.
is. Yep.
He gets open. He's got the full route tree. He ran vertical. He ran inside, outside, short, intermediate, vertical. I mean, so he can do it all. And I love the word that you use, tempo, because that's one of the things I looked at when he just would lull a defensive back to sleep and then would accelerate. And that manipulative, that's a great word that
Ignite.
you use because that's what he does when he's
Yeah.
out there. His catch radius is probably the only little bit of a concern, but man, the guy is physical. I love how
Yeah.
he finishes. He's a physical finisher. He's not afraid of contact. The size and hit rate, though, in the NFL, I don't think people realize how many wide receivers do not make it that are under 6 feet in the NFL. You
It's
go and
it's
look at a
bad.
list. It's maybe not bad, but I mean the top
Mhm.
guys are Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Zay Flowers, man. And like after that, there are a
That's
couple guys
pretty
here
bad.
and there, but it's tough. So you need that size and physicality. But I think this guy brings enough physicality to the table where he can make up for his short
Yeah,
stature.
I
But
did too.
he's well built at 194 pounds. But let's get to his scouting report card grades. All
Yeah.
right. I'm sure they're going to be very favorable, as you can see on this card here. Release and route running. I gave him an A. I think this dude can run every route. So there's not much more to say. I think he's just a complete route runner. Ran the whole tree in college, and I think he's going to do just fine in that regard in the NFL.
Yeah, I gave him an A too. I think you and I are on the same page here.
Ball skills and hands, I gave him a B. I think I'd give him an A if he had a little bit more length and had the ability. I mean, he did go up and get some balls, but man, he's got some good hands. I don't care. His catch percentage at 65%. I'm not, I mean, usually I'd like to see a little better than that, but
Mhm.
regardless of what the stats say, I think this guy's got some strong hands. He came and made some amazing catches this past season. So I gave him a solid B.
Yeah, I give him a B as well. I know drops have been a bit of a thing for him during his career. I think he has 17 over his entire career, but I'll tell you what, he just looks like he is solid. I think that's the perfect word for it.
He'll just spend a little bit more time on the jug machine. That's all.
Exactly. That's it.
Acceleration and speed, I gave him an A minus. So I think even though he tested well with the vertical speed, I don't think he's going to be a burner, but I'll tell you, he's a space creator, and that's all that
Yeah.
matters. He's got great burst and acceleration. I gave him an A minus.
Yeah, I gave him an A. I mean, some of the film I saw when he was running downfield, it looked pretty natural and quick to me. So I'm not gonna overthink this one.
Yeah, yards after the catch, I gave him a B. I think he's explosive with the ball in his hand. I don't think he's the
Mhm.
best yak runner that we've seen, but
Right.
certainly does a good job with it. So I gave him a solid B across the board
Yeah,
there.
I gave him a solid B too. I think he can create yak with that speed if needed.
Yeah, and physicality and functional play strength, I gave him a B plus. I think he is strong for his size, and the way he finishes runs was really impressive to me. So I know he's a football player through and through, and the physicality is not a problem with him.
Yeah, I gave him a B too. He played much better for his size than I could have imagined after watching the film.
All right, so I guess the combine has made him a solidified day 2 selection in the draft.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. He
yeah.
definitely elevated himself
I
for
think he
sure.
was there. I think he was there beforehand, anyway, but I think that
Yeah,
has solidified him. So let's do some player comps.
yeah,
I got Stephon Diggs as a
I
comp.
could see that coming out of
Um,
Maryland. Very similar.
yeah, very similar, and just the way he played. He played really Y and Z, I believe, in Buffalo, or at least that's where I remember seeing him play.
Mhm.
But later in his career, he played a lot in the slot. All right, as he was fading through his career, but I just see the movement skills and the
Yep.
ability to win where he won on a regular basis. I just see a similarity with those two players. So I got Stephon Diggs, and man, if he had a Stephon Diggs type career,
Oof.
you got yourself a dynasty asset.
Yeah, I think Diggs went in like the 5th round too because of off the field stuff. So that was a nice little steal. But yeah, the savviness as a route runner, I can definitely see because I remember
Mhm.
that was what I wrote down with Diggs coming out of Maryland. I have Lad McConkey. I
Mm.
think they're both outstanding route runners, both great manipulators. I actually pulled up the combine numbers side by side, and Noel tested out better than McConkey did. Even that vertical, I think it was 41.5 or something like that, was better than McConkey's. The broad was better than McConkey's. I think they both ran a 4.39, kind of similar in size,
Mm.
even though
I like it.
Noel's shorter. I see similarities there. So the only thing I don't know is McConkey played on a bigger stage in the spotlight against better competition. I think that's the only thing that we can't figure out. And again, helmet scouts are going to freak out over Iowa State receiver, but I think this is one that you shouldn't be doing that with. And Higgins, don't overthink
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, if you're a Jalen Noel fan,
Right?
you're going to be loving those comps. So,
Yeah.
excellent report on him. He's going to be a fun player to see where he
Yes,
lands
he
in the
is.
NFL draft.